welcome to my channel. Before I go on to what's going on here, let me get those disclaimers out of the way and then hop into it. Of course, before I get started, I do have those disclaimers to get out of the way. I live near a major highway here in the country of Belize, so you will hear those motor vehicles in my background. Where I live, there's also a lot of wild birds. You may hear them calling, chirping, and crying in the background. And thirdly, I have dogs. I have dogs, my neighbors have dogs. So if anyone comes in this neighborhood, you will hear those dogs, including my own, start barking. And with that, I get back to my regular scheduled program. Okay, so let's hop into it. What am I doing? I am doing this new challenge called facials. Basically, it's just me drawing a bunch of facial expressions, and I'm using the Crayola colors or color, I think it's color of the world, colors of the world series. I'm actually using the marker versions here they are in all their amazing glory. There's 24 of them. I swatched it out here. So here are the colors. So this is a very good representation of the Crayola colors of the world. I do have the colored pencil because when I was doing the review for these and I was looking at other YouTube artists, they were actually using these two in combination to get better, let me pull you out a little bit, just a tad, to get better a vibrancy of colors when it comes to skin tones. So the colors of the world colored pencils are at the top, and the colors of the world markers are at the bottom. And you know, these are how they swatched out. I did multiple layers here, and then I just did a single layer on the towards my right side, and to see if there were variations in tones. There was one thing I noticed when I was doing the setup for these, that when it comes to deepest almond here I have it here in my swatch for the colors of the world colored pencils, and I have it here as the first one for the colors of the world markers. And that's because according to the cap, it is here, deepest almond is very, very dark. But when you look at the colored pencils themselves, the coating of the colored pencils, yeah, this is it. So I made a mistake when it came to deepest almond. Basically, these are supposed to, the color matches what I have read and what I have seen and what I have read and seen on the internet when it comes to doing the research on these. These are supposed to be color matched. Now I have been working with this with a couple illustrations, and guys, it's been frustrating for me. I cannot say that it's a pleasant experience. It's been a very frustrating experience for me. I could attribute that to two things. Chiefly it could be my amateurness, the fact that I am new to art. I have just developed a style of art. Literally, my art style have just basically developed over this past summer. So I am literally within the beginning stage of this art journey. And so my amateurness could attribute how I am working with this medium. The second thing I could attribute it to, or bias if you might say, when it comes to the researcher's language, which is research bias. The other bias I should have in this is not only my experience but also the paper I'm using. I am using the Array cardstock. This is a cardstock that is found right here in the country of Belize. It's 65 pounds, and I'm using it in the sketchbook. I'm sure I've talked about the sketchbook before. And so maybe that could contribute to my frustration in working with this product, or both of these products, because what I'm doing is and I could use this here, I am rendering the expressions on the faces with the markers, and then trying to smooth out the lines I get with the markers with the colored pencils. I just have these other Crayola colored pencils in the event I want to, you know, put eyes, you know, maybe different color here, the beginning of their tops, stuff like that. I also have these Crayola signature or fine liners that I'm also using with this. The only thing I'm not using are my Crayola crayons, but everything else is Crayola. I am trying it very hard right now not to use the Crayola, any other colored pencils. The thing I don't like, and let me use this as an example because I do have another illustration here. The thing that I want to render for this session and show you guys how I'm working with it. The thing I don't like is basically after I finish put on the markers, I basically have to use my drying tool and dry the paper off because it stays wet, first of all, and then I could use the colored pencil over it. And then when I use the colored pencils over it, especially these colors of the world, they are so hard. Like the core of the, I'm talking about the actual pencil cores, like their lead is so hard. I mean, it actually scratched into the paper itself, the surface of the paper. Let me see if I can show you some of the grittiness it leaves behind. Let me give you some light. Okay, you guys can see some of that grittiness. I mean, it's put on some more light here because I don't have on any lights whatsoever. You know, there's a grittiness on the paper that is left in there, and I don't particularly like it. Maybe it's the fact that I work with watercolor so much and I love my paper to stay smooth, but there's a texture on the paper that's left behind by the colored pencil because the core of the pencil is so hard, and I don't like it at all. I mean, I don't mind it here when it comes to the clothes that the character is wearing because, you know, fabric have texture. But when it comes to things like the skin, it drives me crazy. Literally drives me crazy. And I'm trying my best. I'm literally trying my best not to be frustrated by it all and to work through it. But it has been an experience. It's literally been an experience. What I do plan to do is I do have another piece here. My another facial is tired. I am trying to use this new font. I saw that this font, sorry, that Katie Golden used. But maybe I'm not gonna be as successful in her as doing it. So I think it's just kind of cool, you know, dabbing in a little bit of calligraphy. And so I'm waiting right now for the ink to dry on this, and then I will erase the pencil lines underneath, and we will get to, you know, rendering this little guy who is obviously very, very tired. So give me an hour. You won't feel the hour, but I will. And when I come back, we're gonna look at this piece. Okay, so I'm back from outer space. I had it sitting for about an hour and a half since I've completed it, so it should be dry enough for me to erase the pencil lines. The eraser I'm using is the Bazic oval eraser. It's just a economical friendly eraser I found here in the country of Belize. Nothing special with my erasers. Now I'm looking for a tool. Yeah, here it is. And so I did a couple chores and I came back to ensure that I just erase all my little me just take the dust off. Okay, so the dusts are off. I have these pencils out because I wanted to show you how much I am loving using this pencil. This is the Bazic pencil made from recyclable paper. This is how the pencil looks. I think in previous videos I would have shown you this pencil, you know, just how it looks. It is a beautiful pencil, really it is. This is a brand new pencil here. This is the one I'm using. Please note the pencil extender because this is how the pencil is now. That's to tell you how much I am using it. It's not because the pencil lead breaks so easily. It's because I've been using this so much that it's now this big. I took the eraser off so that I could put it into the pencil extender quite comfortable. And guys, honestly, I really do enjoy using this pencil. It is so smooth. And one of the things that I enjoy also about this pencil, look at that. Look at where that lid is. Smack dab in the center. And it's actually one of those lids that is glue in, because you can actually see the glue on it. So this is not a core that, you know, that if you should drop the pencil, the core won't easily break. So it's not in here because the lead breaks easily. It's in here because, you know, it's so small. And I use it so much. I've done so many drawings with this pencil. I actually enjoy using this pencil. I am not somebody who loves HB leads. In fact, I have a lot of HB leads for mechanical pencil that I don't use because I don't like the fact that the HB lead is so hard. But this one is just so smooth. It's such an enjoyable experience. It feels like a B lead, not an HB lead, but it's very nice. I found it right here in the country of Belize. I will definitely link in my description below where you can find it and the store. I know I found it online. I found it on Amazon. I also linked it there for those people who want to buy it, who don't live in Belize. This is a good find, guys. This is a surprisingly amazing find for me. So now that we're off that tangent, we are now going into the coloring of this, and let's see how this goes. I am so scared because I know how I struggle to do this, that I am scared that I am going to, you know, I'm gonna struggle. I know I'm gonna struggle doing this one, and you guys are gonna see it. So I just swallowed. Let's get to it. so we're done, and it has been an experience. The color family I chose to use for my little friend here who's tired is actually almond. His hair is actually almond too. I was looking for brown and I didn't want his hair to be brown. My color reference is there. A few points just to wrap up. I noticed, let me grab one of the other ones. On these color pencils, color markers, like I don't know if it was my eyes fooling me. No, I was wrong. I was right. See? Like there was a misprint. Look at that. You guys are seeing that? That actually came that way. I have a couple of them that came this way, like they were double printed or something. It just makes it looks kind of weird. I think there's another one that came that way. It makes me feel like my eyes were fooling me. And I do wear glasses, but I don't know. Just made me feel weird. The other thing that I noticed that you really do have to work with very dry paper, because if you should try to do multiple layers like I tried to do here on the cheek right here, what happened was it started to peel the paper, and that's why I use my little heat gun, my little heat gun here to try to dry the paper off, because it peels the paper off when I'm going back over the area again with the marker. So I dry it in between with the heat gun. The other thing that I noticed with this is it helps with smoothing out the color, but for you to get a smooth shade like I have here, you have to go a tone darker. So for instance, his skin color was actually in markers form, I believe it was light, it was light medium, this color here, light medium, but the color pencil form that I used to smooth it out was medium almond. So I actually went a shade darker, and that was enabled me to get smooth shades, because when you go with the same shade, it falls into this category here. It doesn't really look as smooth, but when you go a shade darker, it helps with smoothing out the lines that is left by the markers, because these markers leave a lot of lines, like it leaves a lot of streaks in it. If you notice, there's a lot of streaking it leaves. So to smooth out your streakiness, you really do have to go a shade darker. And what else have I learned using these markers? Use it with your heat gun. The other thing I should say, the other thing I actually wanted to say, and I should have wrote this point down, was that these color pencils, remember I told you in the beginning the hardness of the lead was one of my biggest drawbacks. For me to get smooth flow and a very nice feel to these pencils, as soon as I finish with the heat gun, I would render. Literally, as soon as I finished with the heat gun, I went and I tried to hurry color the area again, because when the paper is hot, the colors go down smoothly. The pencils doesn't feel like it's scratching the paper. It's almost like the wax is kind of melting on the paper, so there's a smooth application. So as soon as I finish with the heat gun from drying off the markers, I go in with the color pencils, and that was how I was able to get smooth transition, especially here, because when you look here it's kind of scratchy, but here that's because the paper was still very much hot. So for me to do this and look like this, I'll have to go back over this area with a very hot paper, which is kind of weird, but that's how I was able to accomplish it here and not here, because by the time I got here the paper was already cold. But that's about it, guys. Let me know in the comments below what you think of my little drawing here of my little guy. I know I'm improving. I decided to do this facial expressions challenge, or this facial challenge, because when I was rendering other pieces in other coloring books now, in other sketchbooks, I noticed that I was kind of struggling making different faces, like literally different structure for the head itself, and I wanted to make different expressions, not only different expression but also different heads. So I came up with this challenge to make at least 8 different heads, to see if I could make, not to make all my characters look like they're the same people with different hair on top of their heads. You know, I wanted them to look a bit differently. So that's why I came up with this challenge to broaden my faces and my head structure repertoire. But anyway, guys, thank you so much for joining me on this journey, and as always, stay safe, stay blessed, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.